If you've been sober for a little while and you're wondering why you still feel disconnected, uncertain, or like you're floating in limbo, you're not alone. You got sober to feel better, and you do, but you also feel a little lost. Your old life doesn't fit exactly, and the new one feels unfamiliar, like you're building it from scratch. I remember going out with my friends one Friday night, no drink in hand, still at the regular bars with my regular people. And this crushing thought hit me like, this just doesn't fit anymore. And it was confusing because I wasn't just someone who drank, I was a bartender. Literally, my whole life happened in bars. I spent more time in bars than I did in my house for 20 years. So when it was time to start transitioning out of that life, it felt like I was losing a part of myself, a very comfortable, consistent, well-loved part. Today, we're talking about that grief, that confusion that comes with losing the identity you built around alcohol. If you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, I don't even recognize myself anymore, then this episode is for you. I'm going to walk you through exactly what's happening, why it's totally normal, and how to come out the other side stronger than ever. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Addiction Unlimited podcast, where you get to learn everything you want to know about addiction and recovery. I'm your host, Angela Pugh, co-founder of Kansas City Recovery, life coach, and recovering alcoholic. To learn more about me, you can listen to episode 0 on your podcast app or find us on the web at addictionunlimited.com. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. I'm your coach, Angela Pugh. Today, we're diving into something that catches almost everyone off guard at some point in sobriety. That quiet, unsettling feeling of, I don't know who I am anymore. The question we're answering is this: why do I feel lost even though I'm sober? And how do I rebuild a version of myself that actually feels aligned? Because the truth is, quitting drinking isn't just about not drinking. It's about identity. It's about relearning who you are without the numbing, without the role alcohol played in your routines, your relationships, in your confidence. And if no one told you this part was coming, I want you to know it's not a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that you're healing. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through why this identity crisis happens in sobriety, even for high achievers who have it all together, the 3 stages everyone moves through when alcohol is no longer a part of their identity, and how to shift from feeling lost to feeling on fire, clear, grounded, and proud of who you're becoming. This is the deep work that creates lasting sobriety, and it's where the real transformation begins. So here's what my identity shift looked like, and it might surprise you. I didn't miss alcohol, not even a little. Once I quit, I was done. I never wanted to drink again. That part was clear. But what wasn't clear was what to do with the rest of my life. Because alcohol wasn't just a substance I used, it was wrapped into how I lived. I was a bartender, and I thought I would be a bartender, then bar owner for the rest of my life. Like, that was my plan. I loved going out. I loved the energy of the bar scene. I loved the people, the music, the boys, the freedom. That's what I had done my entire adult life up to that point. It was familiar and fun, and it was all I knew. And honestly, I kept going out for years into my sobriety. And many of you know, if you've followed me for any length of time, I continued bartending many years into my sobriety. I still loved the vibe. I still wanted to be a part of it. And for a while that worked. But then along the way, something shifted. I started to feel like I didn't quite fit anymore. The same places, the same people, the same conversations, they weren't satisfying me the way they used to. And it wasn't because I wanted to drink again. It was because I was growing. And growing meant outgrowing. And that's the moment I realized this isn't about alcohol. This is about identity and who I am. Who was I if I wasn't the badass bartender or the social butterfly or the nightlife queen? And more importantly, who did I want to become now? That was the real work, not quitting drinking. The real work was redefining myself without the scaffolding of that old life. And if you're in that phase right now, if you're starting to feel like your old world doesn't quite fit, but the new one hasn't fully formed yet, I want you to know you're not doing it wrong. You're doing it exactly right. When I look back and I think about all the people I've worked with over the years, there's a pattern I see again and again when it comes to identity in sobriety. And I want to walk you through it because understanding where you are in this journey is one of the most powerful ways to stop feeling stuck or confused. So phase one is the drift. This is the part where you're no longer drinking, but you haven't quite figured out how to live differently yet. You've stopped the behavior, but the structure of your life is still tied to the old you. You might still go out with the same people, still try to do everything the same way, just without the alcohol. And at first, that might feel okay. But slowly, things start to feel off. You start to realize this doesn't really feel like me anymore. That's the drift. When the old life starts to feel misaligned, but the new version of you hasn't fully stepped forward yet. Because this phase isn't just about not drinking, it's about alignment. And I know alignment is one of those buzzwords that gets thrown around all the time, but let me break it down. Alignment means your thoughts, your words, and your actions are all pointing the same direction. It means the version of you you say you want to become, the values, the lifestyle, the kind of relationships you want, actually matches the choices you're making on a daily basis. You hear Jen Couch talk about this. She's Sober Sis, for those of you who don't know, and she is amazing. But she talks about when she was starting to realize she had a drinking problem. And it was about identity and not being aligned. And she talks about this in the episode she did with me. I will link that in the show notes if you want to go back and listen to her episode, because she is really fantastic. But she was not aligned, right? She talks about like during the day, she was this super mom, yogi, drinking green smoothies. But at night, she was hiding behind the wine and hiding who she really was. She wasn't in alignment. So if you're still living in the old routines, hanging in the same environments, entertaining the same habits, even if you're not drinking, your life isn't aligned with your vision. That's why you feel stuck or restless or like you're drifting. But here's the good news. That discomfort is your inner self calling you forward. It's showing you what's not working anymore so you can start making choices that actually reflect the person you're becoming. Phase two is the discomfort. Once you start recognizing where your life is out of alignment, that's when the discomfort kicks in. You realize like, okay, these places, these routines, maybe even these friendships, they're not actually serving who I want to become. You've let go of alcohol, and now you're starting to let go of the other pieces of that old identity. And that's not easy. This phase can feel really lonely. You might not want to go out anymore, but you're not sure what to do instead. You might not feel as connected to your old friends, but you haven't found your new people yet. You might feel like you're standing in a hallway between two doors and neither one of them is fully open. That discomfort is feedback. It's your brain literally rewiring and your life reorienting around something more authentic. But let me be clear, this is the part where most people question everything. They think, what's wrong with me? Why am I still struggling? I thought I was supposed to feel amazing by now. And the truth is, you're not doing anything wrong. You're just no longer numbing or distracting yourself. You're sitting with what's real for the first time in a long time. This phase is uncomfortable, yes, but it's also sacred. This is where you start choosing intentionally instead of out of habit. It's where your values start showing up in your calendar, your conversations, and your self-talk. This is where you stop trying to go back and you start getting curious about what comes next. This is where the real work starts. The old scene is not as fun anymore. The old friends, maybe not as connected. You're not drinking. You're not going out as much. You're making better choices, but it feels weird, lonely, disconnected, bored. And it's uncomfortable because you're between two versions of yourself, who you were and who you're becoming. But this is also where your new values start to emerge. This is the cocoon. It's awkward, it's quiet, and it's super powerful. So embrace it and know that you're on the right path and you're doing the right things. Quick pause, my friend. Let's talk about sleep. You already know that healing in sobriety isn't just emotional, it's physical. And one of the biggest pieces we overlook is the quality of our sleep. That's why I've been loving my Cozy Earth sheets. They're made from viscose from bamboo, and they actually help regulate your temperature, which, if you're anything like me, means no more tossing and turning, waking up sweaty at 2 a.m. in the middle of July. Sleep studies show that cooler sleeping environments help your body release melatonin, which means you fall asleep faster and sleep deeper. It's a game changer. And Cozy Earth gives you a 100-night sleep trial, so you can try them on the hottest nights of the year. And if you're not in love, send them back. But seriously, you will not want to. Go to cozyearth.com and use code Angela for 40% off their best-selling, temperature-regulating sheets, loungewear, and more. Sleep cooler, lounge lighter, stay cozy. Okay, phase 3, the becoming. Phase 3 is where things start to click, right? You've let go of the old routines, you've made peace with the discomfort, and now you're building something new on your terms. You're not trying to get back to the old version of you. You're creating a new one that's clearer, calmer, and more in control. You're making decisions that match the life you say you want. You're not chasing temporary relief. You're building long-term peace. You're not asking permission anymore. You're taking ownership. You might not feel 100% confident every day, but you're showing up differently. You trust yourself more. You recover faster. You stop second guessing every choice. And this phase doesn't mean life is perfect, but it does mean your choices feel more solid. You're spending your time, your energy, and your attention in ways that make sense for the life you're building, not the life you left behind. And the best part is, you don't miss the old version of you anymore. You've outgrown that version. And that's something to be proud of. You have new routines, new friendships, new ways of relaxing and celebrating and connecting that have nothing to do with alcohol. And that, my friend, is when everything changes. So if you're drifting or sitting in that discomfort, I just want you to know you're on your way. Now, let's talk about how to support yourself through those phases and some real tools to reconnect with your identity in this next chapter. Now that you understand what the identity shift actually looks like, let's talk about what you can do to support yourself through it. Because clarity comes from action. The more you live in alignment with who you want to become, the easier it gets to leave the old version of you behind. So 1, use these journal prompts to get clear on your next chapter. Okay, set a 10-minute timer, grab a notebook, and answer these honestly. What do I want my life to look like 6 months from now? What kind of person do I want to be known as? What are 3 habits or routines that don't match that version of me? What would it look like to live more aligned with that future version of me starting this week? Tool number 2, each day this week, ask yourself, are my actions matching the life I say I want? Here's what I mean by this. If you want to be a calm, grounded mom, then are you creating quiet time for yourself? Because self-care isn't optional. It's essential. If you want to build real friendships, are you saying yes to connection and no to isolation? Or if you want peace, are you still saying yes to chaos out of habit? Even one small change, a new morning routine, a boundary, a different Friday night plan, one small change can help you start feeling like you again. So check your alignment. Tool number 3, protect your growth. When you're becoming a new version of yourself, not everyone will get it. That's okay. This part isn't about explaining yourself. It's about protecting your peace and protecting your sobriety. Say no when you want to. Leave the group chat if it's dragging you back into old habits. Give yourself permission to outgrow what no longer fits. I can't stress this enough, you guys. It's so human nature to just hang on to things because they're the things we know and the people we've had for so many years and the things we've done for so many years. And we want to hang on to that stuff. But the truth is, when you grow, you outgrow. This has been true for me across everything in my life, including business and entrepreneurship. I've had to let go of relationships just because they no longer fit the trajectory of my life. Not everyone and everything in every situation is going to be able to take that ride with you. So give yourself permission to outgrow what no longer fits. And 4, last tool, choose one action this week. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just ask, what's one thing I can do this week that supports the person I'm becoming? Maybe it's finally signing up for the class you've been thinking about, or saying no to a night out you don't really want to go to any damn way, or starting a new sober morning routine, or listen to this episode again and answer the prompts. But choose one action this week to support the person you're becoming. You don't have to figure it all out today, but every time you choose alignment, every time your actions reflect the person you want to be, you're one step closer to becoming that version. The truth is, quitting drinking is just the beginning. What comes next, the identity shift, is where the real growth happens. And yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's confusing. You'll question things you never thought twice about. But that discomfort is not a setback. It's the signal that you're changing. You're not the person you used to be, and you're not supposed to be. That person was just surviving. You're building a version of yourself that actually fits the life you want, not the one you settled for. So if you're in the drift, the discomfort, or finally starting to feel that click, good, keep going. This is how you become the person who doesn't just stay sober, but creates a life you're actually proud of, a life that doesn't need alcohol to feel exciting, fulfilling, or real. You don't need to have it all figured out today, but you do need to start acting like the version of yourself you say you want to become. And there's no better time to start than right now. If this episode hit home, if you found yourself nodding along, maybe even tearing up a little, don't just let that fade into the background. Take action. Re-listen, journal through the prompts, and ask yourself where your life might be out of alignment. Then change one thing this week to reflect the person you're becoming. And if you want more support as you navigate this identity shift, that's exactly what we do in my coaching program. We go deep, we build confidence, we create a life that makes alcohol irrelevant. And you'll find the link to that in the show notes. As always, book a call with me, addictionunlimited.com/call, or shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. And if this resonated with you, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. We rise together, my friend, supporting one another, always sharing resources. I love you guys. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you next week.
You've reached the end of another great episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. Candid and honest conversation about addiction and recovery. Be sure to visit us at addictionunlimited.com to join the conversation and access show notes and links to everything we talked about. Love this episode? Please take 30 seconds to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes to help us improve and give you the information you want. Thanks for listening. See you next week.